Today I'm going to start the process of making some sweet potato slips. Sweet potatoes can't be grown the same way that regular potatoes are. They grow from vines, from the roots. So take a sweet potato and you put it in soil or in water and it sends up slips, and then you plant those slips. I took this one sweet potato from last year and I cut it in half yesterday and let it dry so that the part that was cut will heal over. And then I'll be starting this. And the things that we'll need for today's project is a simple, cheap aluminum tray. I bought this at the grocery store for about $1, I think it costs. It's a 9 by 12, and fill this with topsoil or potting soil. And I punched some holes in it so it can drain. So I needed this tray, and I need a 1020 tray with a humidity dome, which the aluminum tray will sit inside of, and this will keep the potato moist. And I've pre-moistened some potting mix, and it will be ready to go into this pan, and then we'll start this process. And once this is done, then it'll take 2 or 3 weeks. I'll be sending up shoots, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, we'll fill this pan with the potting soil. This is homemade potting soil. It's about 2/3 compost and 1/3 peat moss, and it's got some vermiculite, and then I put about a cup of worm castings in it for fertilizer. Sweet potatoes are very hungry plants, and they like a little fertilizer once they get the roots started. So I added some worm castings just for that purpose. You don't need to use an expensive seed starting mix. Any potting soil will work for this. And like I say, this is simply homemade compost with peat moss, and it will do everything we need to do to get these started. So basically I fill this tray with this potting mix and pat it down a little bit so it's fairly firm. And don't want the tray filled all the way to the top at this point, and I'll show you in just a minute why that is. But we want it, for a couple inches of soil in order for the roots to get a good establishment. I don't know if that noise is coming through the microphone. I put the wind guard on it so that it doesn't come through too strong, but we're in a really heavy downpour right now outside, and it's coming on the roof of the greenhouse, and that's what the noise is. Okay, the tray is filled, and now I take the sweet potatoes and I simply work them into the soil so that they make complete firm contact with the soil. Want no air bubbles or anything underneath of them. And then I add a little more potting soil so that just the tops of the potato is visible. The rest of it is in contact with the soil. As you can see, about maybe 1/8 of the sweet potatoes above the soil. The rest of it's buried under the soil, and it will send shoots up slips up from all around the edge here, and a dozen or so will form. I only need 8 slips for the 2 tubs that I have, so these 2 pieces of sweet potato will provide all the slips that I will need for this year, and get a lot of sweet potatoes off those. Probably close to 100 pounds of sweet potatoes. So it's that simple in getting these sweet potatoes in place to get ready for producing slips. Now that that's done, the next step is to set this inside of a standard 1020 tray where it can start its root development. There's some water running out from this potting soil. That was the reason these holes were put in the bottom of this. And you can see that that's running out, and that is the reason for the 1020 tray. It has the slots that allows it to begin its process of setting up the tray to keep it moist. And then this humidity dome goes on top of the 1020 tray. It snaps over it. And now this will be set up onto the heat mat, and it'll be allowed to set for 2 or 3 weeks, however long it takes to form the roots. And I'll check the moisture on a daily or every few days to make sure that the soil stays moist and the potatoes will get started. So I'll put this up on heat mat, and then we'll see what that looks like. Okay, it's setting on the heat mat now. It's set at 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and it'll be remain here for the next couple weeks while it's starting to sprout the slips on there. And I'll check it periodically and make sure everything's coming along. It'll be here with our other seedlings that we have started. I have some peppers and Swiss chard and kale and onions, Chinese broccoli. So we're getting ready for our spring planting season. But today's project is these potatoes right here. And I'll stop the video now, and then I'll be back in a couple weeks to show what it looks like with the slips formed on there. It's been 15 days since I put the sweet potato in potting soil and put the humidity dome over it and set it on a heat mat. So today I'm going to open it up and see if we have some sweet potatoes starting to sprout in there, and I suspect we do. There's one coming up. It's doing pretty well. And I see some bumps in the potting soil here where others are starting to sprout. And I even see a weed that's coming up in the potting soil. We'll pull that out. So this is a nice looking sprout here. I hope to get about 8 sprouts on here that I can use for slips to start sweet potatoes. So I'll leave this humidity dome off. I'm going to leave it on the heat pad for another week, and we'll see what else sprouts in here and see if we get them ready to go. But for 2 weeks on the heat mat after I've planted them, they seem to be doing well. Today is the 16th of April. It's been about 5 weeks since I put these sweet potatoes into this potting mix to get them started sprouting. They have sprouted rather well. They've got a lot of good sprouts on them. So today I'm going to take these sprouts off and put slips into water so that they start the rooting process. We want to have them ready to go out into the garden in about 3 weeks. Mid-May we can safely plant sweet potatoes here. So I'm going to start that process today. Okay, we have the potatoes here. We have a jar of water to put them in. And this step is now fairly straightforward. We simply pull this potato up out of the soil. And we want to take these slips off and take the bottom leaves off and put them in the water. Some people just snap these off and use them. I prefer to take a sharp knife and cut them off, and it's less likely to damage the plant than it is to snap them off. After I'm done with this, I'm going to put this potato back in the soil and bury it and see if it grows some more slips. I really don't need any more. I only need 8 of them, and I think I'm going to have enough here. But I'm going to don't want to waste the potato, I guess is the way to put it. So what I want to do is take these bottom leaves off, and these just simply pinch off like this, and then drop this into the jar of water, and I need to drain some of that water off. There's a little too much in there. It's important when you're doing this that you change this water daily in the jar. Otherwise it becomes stagnant and the plants will start rotting. Every place that you pinch off these leaves will send out roots. So don't be concerned about taking too many off, because every place you take them off, they will form roots at those leaf joints. There's 2 slips on this piece here, so I'll separate these 2. These leaves will all go in the compost. And as I said, I'll rebury this potato here and allow it to start sprouting some more. Actually, this part here is rotting off, so we'll cut that off. You can see this potato actually sent roots out into the ground. It was ready to start growing on its own. Okay, we'll do the same with this second potato. This slip here has already got roots on it, so it's going to be ahead of the rest of them. I'll water this potato in again, set it back up on the shelf, and it'll sprout some more shoots that we can use for slips. I have 8 of them there, which is all I need, but never hurts to have a couple extra in case some die. So I'll move this back up on the shelf. And have to make sure all of the slips are fully in the water. I see one here that is not, and I have to redo that one because I want it to be completely immersed in water. And they are all in water now. So this is going to go on the shelf now, and it'll set for a couple of weeks as it develops root on all the plants, and they'll be ready to put into the garden. And that is all there is to this step, and I'll update it later when I show the roots on here. Important thing to remember again is to change this water every day because it goes stagnant and then the plants will rot, and you don't want them to rot before they root. So today is April 22nd. It's been 6 days since I cut these shoots off of the sweet potato and stuck them in a glass of water to start rooting. And they've all now sprouted roots, and they're ready to start growing. I'll pull some of them out here and show you the roots that's on them. They pretty well see all the white roots that are growing. Every single one of the slips that I put in this water have sent out roots and growing. So I'm going to leave them in the water now for a prolonged period of time until the weather outside is warm enough to where I can transplant them outdoors. They'll continue developing the roots, and these plants actually will grow in size as well. They'll get taller, and some of them will have to be trimmed back. And when I trim a top off of one of them, I stick them in water and they form roots as well. So this project has been very successful. We have the 8 sweet potato slips that I wanted to plant in the containers outdoors. And when the weather starts turning a little warmer, I'll show the process of turning the mineral lick tubs into container gardens and putting these sweet potatoes in them to grow for the summer. But for now, this project is pretty well completed. I've got the slips I needed, and they're rooting well, and I've been changing the water every day so that it doesn't become stagnant and stays fresh, and they're all doing very well.